Thank you very much, Mr. Williams, and good afternoon. All protocols observed. I joined with the thousands of persons the world over in associating myself with the words of commendation extended to the National Task Force on COVID-19 here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We thank you for putting country above self. The Ministry of Education is pleased to acknowledge the work of some of our staff who work directly to support the work of the National Task Force. I am pleased to identify Mrs. Michelle Christmas Jacobs for providing sign language for this briefing every day religiously. Mr. Ruben Mulreen, Mr. Samuel Bridgman, and Mr. Vincent Christopher, all bus drivers who work very long hours to transport essential workers. I also wish to thank Mr. Leon Williams and Ms. Cindy Smith, the coordinators at the School Meals Kitchen, and their staff for ensuring that the task force is fed daily. The Ministry of Education takes this opportunity to update, expound, and provide further information following the address to the nation on the way forward by the Honorable Minister of Education yesterday. As you're aware, the CXC exams, CSEC, that's at the secondary level, and CAPE at the college level, these examinations will take place in July of 2020. That said, I want to issue a call to our students, their parents, their teachers, and their principals that they now have to regroup, get mobilized in order to ensure success in the examinations which are to be written in July. As a result of COVID-19, CXC has modified the 2020 exam sitting. The students' grades will be determined using 2 assessment components instead of the usual 3. These components are the multiple choice, paper 1, and the school-based assessments. In this regard, CXC has made it compulsory for all students' SBAs to be submitted. Traditionally, there is a sampling of student work, SBA, that are submitted to CXC. This year, because it is one of the main components of awarding a grade to the students, every single SBA by every single student will be submitted. There's no sampling that is taking place this year. When the state of emergency was declared in March, reformers and CFBC students were in the process of working on the SBAs. And in the case of the CFBC students, they were working on their internal assessments, or IAs. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Ministry of Education has sought provisional permission for students writing CSEC and CAPE to return to their respective high school campuses and the CFB campus to complete their SBAs and their internal assessments. No other students will be allowed on the campus, and I repeat, no other students but the reformers and CFBC students will be allowed on school campuses, as schools in the Federation are physically closed until further notice. However, before the task force can grant permission for these provisional arrangements for students to temporarily return, a number of health and safety protocols must be in place. To ensure that campuses meet the health standards, the task force will visit all secondary schools on Thursday, 28, 2020. Schools are mandated to have certain processes implemented. For instance, students will be screened daily on arrival. Their temperature will be taken. There will be questions as to whether they have been sneezing or coughing. The sanitization of students' hands will be done. In this regard, parents are asked to note the following. Transportation by school buses will be arranged. Students are to bring with them water and snack if necessary. They will not be allowed to leave the premises to buy lunch. So when they enter at mornings, there would be process, as we say, and then they would leave if it's at the end of their session at midday or for the afternoon. But they're not allowed to leave and return. Parents will be given notice or instruction by the various principals as to whether school uniform or casual attire would be worn by students. The Ministry of Education will undertake student device distribution on both islands on Thursday 28 at 9 a.m. at the Education Planning Division on Lockhart Street, St. Kitts, and the Education Department at Marion Heights in Nevis. These devices are being given to students to facilitate the virtual learning to which we are about to embark. Device pickup is by invitation only on a scheduled basis. Students who are selected for devices were identified based on a survey that was carried out prior the close of schools. Each recipient, whether it be a parent or guardian, will be called at least 24 hours in advance of their scheduled appointment. In other words, there are no children allowed on the site where these devices are distributed. They are to be collected by parents or guardians. At the Lockhart Street location in St. Kitts, the first round of tablets will be distributed from 9 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. on Thursday and continue throughout the day up to 3 p.m. 10 recipients will be served each half hour with approximately 110 devices being distributed each day. Distribution on Nevis will take place from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Both spaces have undergone security screening by the NEOC. Device distribution will be done by the Office of the Chief Education Officer in collaboration with the Education Planning Division in St. Kitts and the Principal Education Officer and the Education Department in Nevis. Distribution has been prioritized, starting with high schools in the Federation, giving preference to those students without devices. To maintain order, the schedule for device pickup has also been organized school by school. After Thursday, distribution will continue on subsequent days until the activity has been completed. Parents, recipients of the primary school students will also be contacted at the appropriate time. Parents and guardians will be expected to pick up the devices and must bring a nationally issued picture ID, including driver's license, security card, passport, etc. And this is mainly for verification. The social and physical distancing protocols will be in place in alignment with the COVID-19 requirements. These include hand sanitization, wearing of masks, and the 6-foot distance. Persons are kindly asked not to appear at the pickup location until they have been given an appointment. You're asked to be present for your appointment at least 15 minutes ahead of schedule. A note to parents and guardians that you will be required to sign a loan agreement form, as these tablets these tablets are on loan to students. Any home having 3 or more students requiring tablets would be provided with 2 tablets. There would be a total of 700 households, 500 on St. Kitts and 200 on Nevis, with internet access being provided by the Ministry of Education. Additionally, there are 400 laptop computers that are being processed to distribute to teachers to enable them to provide the online instruction. Education matters. And yes, our nation's children are our nation's future. We do our best to ensure that their education continues. I end with a quote that says, "You have not lived today until you have done something for someone who cannot repay you." I repeat, I end with a quote. "You have not lived today until you have done something for someone who cannot pay you back." And finally, I want to give a shout out to a former student who is now in high school, who lives in Maryland. He's listening. He WhatsApped me today to find out if St. Kitts is managing the COVID-19 well. And I was delighted to respond to that question. And I said, I'm going to send you the link so you can log on and see and hear what's happening. Thank you very much, Mr. Williams.